Those things alone, in my experience, do not heal those deeper, more profound emotional wounds that something like a breakup can cause. And I know because I've tried it. All of it. Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. It's Ash, your truth-bombing fairy godmother for everything love, dating, and relationships. I've been asked about today's topic on so many of my previous breakup videos, and those are questions regarding the length of time it takes to heal after a breakup, and specifically whether or not the pain does in fact get easier with time. So today I'm going to be discussing both of the questions. How long does it take to move on after a breakup? And does time really heal all wounds? But first, as always, please consider subscribing to my channel if you would like new love, dating, and relationship videos every single week. And also, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, of course, because that type of engagement really does help me out a ton, and I haven't been reminding you guys to do that lately, and because of that I've actually noticed a really big decline on the level of engagement on my videos. And because of that, YouTube has not really been promoting my content or even putting it on my subscribers' homepages, so thanks YouTube. Okay, so let's start with the broader question, does time heal all wounds? And the short answer to that question is no. No, it doesn't. Although time can sometimes create some distance from a painful experience, which can sometimes be healing on its own, time can also be a completely irrelevant factor when it comes to healing from pain. Unfortunately, traumatic experiences are often not healed with time. And it's really not the amount of time that matters, but rather it's what we do with that time. If we have experienced a painful event, what we do to consciously tend to our wounds is what promotes healing. A psychological or an emotional wound doesn't really heal the same way that a physical wound would, in that taking a more passive approach or just hoping it repairs itself on its own doesn't really yield the best result. And this is why unhealed, untended to childhood traumas, for example, can have such drastic impacts on the way someone might operate as an adult. If time truly healed all wounds, childhood experiences wouldn't have the lasting impacts that they do in adulthood. And unfortunately, this is the same story when it comes to dealing with a breakup or mourning the loss of a relationship. And in my experience, very rarely has time allowed me to heal from those types of losses. I remained stuck on certain breakups for years after they happened. And it wasn't until I really got underneath the hood and addressed the false beliefs that I had internalized about myself as a result of those experiences that I really began to break free of that baggage. Facing your pain, and I mean really facing it, sitting in the darkness and embracing your wounded self and doing that shadow work is truly the only way to heal and move on. Time. It means nothing. Whether it's been 5 days, 5 months, 5 years, it makes no difference to a broken heart. And when you've lost someone you loved and cared about, the only way to effectively move through that pain is to learn to remain present with it, to accept it, to embrace it, and to allow it to freely move through you over and over and over again until it begins to loosen its grip. And let me be clear, I'm not saying that you should just sit and wallow in your misery and your sadness. You should absolutely set goals for yourself. You should work to achieve your dreams. You should get outside your comfort zone. You should go travel and meet new people. Go ahead, do all of that fun, great, stimulating stuff. Please, have at it. But those things alone, in my experience, do not heal those deeper, more profound emotional wounds that something like a breakup can cause. And I know because I've tried it. All of it. Which leads me to my next point, which is the act of simply filling your time. Filling your time with distractions also does not heal a broken heart. I talked about this in my original video about dealing with a breakup during quarantine, and I really stressed the fact that going out to bars, hooking up with new people, or traveling doesn't actually do anything to truly tend to or heal the pain. There's nothing wrong with doing those things. In fact, I encourage you to get out there and experience life in whatever way feels good to you. But those activities are still time fillers. And at some point, whether it's now or even years down the road, that unprocessed, unhealed pain is going to bubble back up to the surface for your attention, your love, and your care. So again, it's not time that heals all wounds. It's what you do with that time. And if it's spent trying to drown out, deny, or ignore every hint of pain and sadness in an attempt to skip past it, then I've got news for you. It ain't gonna work. I've talked about how to actually sit with your pain and how to tend to a broken heart in much more detail in some of my previous videos, such as the one that I've linked up here. And I also have a whole breakup playlist where I talk about healing from heartbreak in much more detail. So for that reason, I won't get into that too much more in this particular video. So instead, I'm going to jump back to the second question that I mentioned at the start of this video, which is, how long does it take to move on from a breakup? If, like I did, you're trying your absolute best to deny your heartbreak, or refusing to truly sit with or acknowledge your pain, or desperately trying to distract yourself with whatever new, shiny person, place, or thing comes your way, then the answer to that question might be a really long ass time. Ignoring your pain or just forcing yourself to get over it already is a guaranteed way to ensure that you stay emotionally stuck. And again, I know because I tried it. And I ultimately dragged unresolved, unhealed wounds into a new relationship, the one I have with my now fiance. If I had just allowed myself the space to grieve and sat with my pain and talked about it or journaled about it or just allowed it to exist and invited it in for my attention and care and love when that relationship with my ex first ended, instead of trying absolutely everything in my power to get rid of it, I would have moved on so much sooner than I did. So to answer the original question, how long does it take to move on from a breakup? It can be a few months, it can be several months, or it can be several years. It can vary so much for everyone, and the healing process looks completely different for each individual person. And what might be a devastating, earth-shattering loss for one person might just be a small speed bump on the road for others. Our innate wiring, our personalities, the way we internalize and interpret information, our own unique life experiences and traumas can drastically change the rate at which we move on from a breakup. And because of this, I really want to remind you not to place any expectation on yourself in regards to time. You're already dealing with enough right now. So putting that additional pressure on yourself to get over a breakup or move on from your ex by a certain date is extremely unproductive. In fact, it will very likely prolong your suffering even more. And even if you feel like you're doing quite well and you're making some really great progress, and yet all of a sudden something triggering or painful comes back up and you feel like you're back at square one all over again, please know that this is also extremely normal. So I really encourage you to be kind to yourself if this happens to you. Instead of getting frustrated with yourself or having that
Oh God, I thought I was over this. I should be over this by now.
Internal dialogue with yourself. Treat yourself as you would a friend who approaches you with something that's hurting or bothering them. You wouldn't say to a friend,
Oh God, like stop complaining. You should be over this by now.
or at least I hope that you wouldn't. You would sit with them, you would talk with them, you would embrace them, and you would create space for their pain and their experience. Please know that if you are several months or even several years out from a breakup and you still feel like this is something that you're battling, that you are not alone and that there is absolutely nothing wrong with you. I wish you knew how common this experience was. So please stop judging yourself for not being over it yet. Because remember that time, unfortunately, does not heal all wounds, but rather it's what we do with the time, such as staying available for our own emotions and tending to our wounds, that truly makes a difference. Okay guys, thank you so much as always for watching. I love and appreciate you all so much. And if you're struggling through the pain of a broken heart, please feel free to touch base with me in the comment section down below. I will see you all next week. Much love.
Ooh, when I get you inside.